but thanks for bringing those up and for sharing your slides. Dr. Davis, I don't know if you wanted to say anything before we move on.
No, I'm good. We can move on.
So as I mentioned, we will get into some of those items. I think Dr. Davis also covered a couple of them, but let's start with project updates. And I will turn the floor over to Chris to begin with, to give an update on where we are with the SOC meetings, the RFP, and just the health study at large. So, Chris Vikulik. I know she was having some connection issues. Hopefully she's back on. DPH team, do you see Christine? Chris?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. Okay, let me. Can we switch the slide? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to start off by kind of orienting everyone to where we are in this health study process. So I'll start off with this kind of big picture overview that brings us through the several phases of this health study. So the first phase of the health study was to identify health concerns, which is the far left kind of side of this screen that you see. And the community engagement and outreach was done extensively during this stage in a variety of different ways to identify those health concerns. And that included open houses, providing updates and soliciting questions at NC meetings, hosting a virtual town hall to share information on the health study, and hearing from residents about the Aliso Canyon disaster and the health study. Community opinion surveys were also conducted by a third-party research firm to, again, learn about the concerns and hopes for the health study that's up and coming. And we also, of course, established the community advisory group to serve as representatives of their respective neighborhood councils and stakeholder groups within their community. And the CAG has been helping and has helped on a variety of different outreach and engagement efforts. In addition to that, a body of renowned scientific experts composed of agency representatives and also independent experts was established to provide oversight and guidance throughout all phases of the health study. The scientific body, as you very well may know, is called the Scientific Oversight Committee and is composed of experts in the fields of epidemiology, disaster behavioral health, mental health, toxicology, community-based research, exposure assessment, environmental science, air monitoring, and air modeling. And as mandated by the consent decree, the Scientific Oversight Committee is responsible for determining the goals of the health study. So based on the community feedback and also their expertise, the Scientific Oversight Committee developed draft goals and priorities for the health study, which were made available on the Aliso Canyon website for a 6-week public comment period. And this public comment period has come to a close, and the public feedback has been shared with the Scientific Oversight Committee, and we'll get into that a little further along in this meeting. We'll provide more details on that. So earlier on in this year, we kind of stepped into the next phase of this health study and shifted over to a focus on research solicitations. So during this phase, there's going to be a competitive process to solicit research proposals, and we're going to award a contract to a research team who will be conducting the actual research as part of the health study. So this competitive solicitation process involves, again, a request for proposal. So this year, the Scientific Oversight Committee met 5 times already, and during those meetings, they focused heavily on the development of this request for proposal, including key components of it, such as the study's scope, the minimum mandatory qualifications that the proposers need to meet, and then also the proposal evaluation criteria. So additionally, the Scientific Oversight Committee was provided with the public feedback that was received during that 6-week public comment period on the health study goals and priorities, and they've discussed this as a group, and overall, they're feeling confident that the RFP is on the right track and will be keeping the public feedback in mind as they finalize that RFP and its key components during its final review. So in terms of next steps for the RFP, it's going to go under a final review by our DPH Public Health Leadership and the Scientific Oversight Committee. And then once that's completed, the RFP will be sent to our Contracts and Grants Division and also the County Council for another stage of review. We are aiming to release the RFP in the late summer of this year. The exact date is not set in stone yet. That will be determined once our Contracts and Grants Division has gone through the RFP. And we're hoping to award a contract in the spring of next year. And while this RFP process does sound like it does take a long time, it is an open process that allows for all interested researchers, other than SOC members, of course, to apply. So after a contract is awarded, we'll step again over to the right into that next phase, which is the research phase. And this is when the actual researchers who are awarded a contract will be implementing the health study and the research that they've proposed. So after that, the next and final stage is mandated by the consent decree. So after the third year of the health study and each year following that, the Scientific Oversight Committee, who will be overseeing the entire study and the research, will conduct an evaluation of the research to determine whether it's on track to meeting its goals, and will also determine the merits of continuing that study. So that is where we are with this timeline.